Hey guys, Silverlord here, back in with another action figure review, and today is the day. I might be late to the party on this one, but screw it. This is my channel, my rules. I do what I want. Because today, we are finally going to be taking a look at the Elite Edition Image Comics Founders line Spawn. Classic Spawn by the fine folks over at McFarlane Toys. Now, with all that being said, I'm not going to beat around the bush here. I'm just going to come out and say it. Not worth 60 bucks. Alright? Quite frankly, I don't think it's worth 50 bucks. I think it's closer to 40. You know, that $35 to $45 threshold between collector edition and megafig price is where I think this guy lands. But as it stands, and while he does have a little trouble standing, we'll get into that, I do like this figure. And at the moment, it's one of my favorite figures of this year. However, we still have a lot to talk about. So why don't we do that and take a look-see at all he has to offer in terms of accessories, starting off with this collectible trading card. He does have some redeemable... He does have some redeemable points on another card, but you ain't getting those. I don't give stuff away for free here. That said, we do have some alternate hands. A pair of open hands. We have some grip hands. Specifically one trigger finger and like more of an open grip hand. We have his trusty 2x4 with a nail in it. Which, where's this role play item? I want like a big like piece of foam shaped like this, painted like this. That would look hilarious. That would be hilarious. I would buy that. A role play Spawn board with a nail in it. Or spike in it, whatever this thing is. Looks like a claw, really. You also get this necroplasm effect, which I found works best on this more open hand. Better than anything. Even then, it still has a tendency to pop out. Thing is, you don't want to mess up the spikes on his knuckles there. I mean, you can probably get it in this more enclosed one. Where is it? There it is. Probably get it on this one too. Ooh. Put it in the right way, dummy. But again, you probably gotta heat it, if I'm being honest with you. But there you go. You can do that if you want. I don't know if I'll use this or not. I would like to, but it's very oddly shaped. Just very oddly shaped. It looks like he's supposed to grip onto it, but I think you're probably better off heating this up and fudging it in there after you do that. And we also have a really nice hamburger head. This is really nice. I'm going to have to use this probably on the throne Spawn. I think that's the one that would make the most sense with this, because the artwork has him like that. Maybe give him a little skull. I think I have an extra Mythic Legions one somewhere. That said, we do have these little chains as well, which have these little plugs for his back. And the reason this one is like double looped, I have two of these on here, is because I took the one loop off the other chain right here, because not for nothing, I could use these for Ghost Riders. They make for great metal chain whips, I'm not gonna lie, so that's pretty cool. So if anyone's not using these, I'll take them. I'll take them. Last but not least, we do get a stone stand. We don't get the hockey puck display stand. It looks like these are gonna connect somehow. Not sure how that's going to work exactly, but it looks like these bases are going to connect, and you're going to have like a city street with all these dudes standing on it. I think the next one come up is Shadowhawk, but I'm talking about Spawn right now. Look at this guy. Not for nothing, you can give him his little shoulder spikes. I just pinched the wires here to curve up like shoulder spikes. It's not very hard. You just do it, and then he's got his shoulder spikes, which look really freaking gnarly. So, kind of glad I figured that out on my own. I didn't see this anywhere. I didn't see anyone mention doing this to get the shoulder spikes, and you know, I did it, and they look fine. They look like they're supposed to. His collar, mine doesn't get in the way as much as I've seen some people's, but you can always kind of pull it back and have it sit a little differently, but it's kind of supposed to be wrapped around his head like that. Then a lot of people are like, what's this lump on the back for? His cape kind of like clumps up towards the shoulders and the back, and it does that. I will say, I'm not a fan of the plastic clasp. Well, the skulls being plastic is fine. I wish the chain was metal. These are glued down. I don't see why they couldn't do that. Chains are metal down here. Why be inconsistent? That's just stupid. And this part of the cape is not held down by anything. It is literally just floating. It is floating, and it sucks. Yeah, I want this to be like not floating. I mean, you can kind of get it up in there, but it floats. It's loose fitting. It doesn't hold on to anything. It just kind of hangs there. And because of that, when you try to pose it, it's a bit of a pain in the nuts. I'm not gonna lie. I managed to pose it. You saw the URL for the video, but it would be way easier if this went through here, like under these like skull chain thingies, and then where I have his little spiky dads here, if it went through all that, then it would be pretty patent down and you'd be able to do something with it. But as it stands now, you really can't. And that's a bummer, because the cape is nice material. It's like a heavy-duty Halloween costume material, I would say. If I had to use an example that's relatable to folks out there, that's what it feels like to me. Heavy-duty Halloween costume material. So it can kind of pose as is because it's so thick, but yeah, it's not perfect, unfortunately. Now, as far as his articulation goes, his head will rotate. You can look up pretty far, down a little bit, so he can brood. You can tilt side to side. You can rotate. Shoulders will pop out, back down, rotate forward and back. He's got that beautiful butterfly rotator cap thing. He's got that bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, ball hinge wrists. Now rotate, hinge, and swivel. And then as far as torso goes, you can rotate it. You can bend it back about this far, bend it forward, not a ton, but it does bend forward a little bit. Can get a little tilt out of it too. Same with the waist. Probably heat the waist, get a little more out of that, but it can tilt back and forth. It does have the peg holes on the back for those little chain things if you want to use those. Hips can kick out. back down, forward and back. He's got a tiny bit of thigh cut in there. Kind of wish he had more of that, but it is what it is. Knees. I'm not going to bother moving this side. I just remember he's got the spikes around his ankle. This side, way easier to use. I'll crunch this up all the way, then move his cape, because that's kind of a pain in the neck to get to, but there you go. Knee joint doesn't look too bad either, so there is that. And then his ankles have ball hinges, but they are not the tightest things. So they will rotate, they will hinge, and they will pivot. And he does have a toe joint. And then this side, it's a little wiggly on mine. I'm going to have to heat up this leg and pop this sucker in when it's stiffened up a bit. And I might even heat up this boot piece, see if I can push it up just a touch more so it doesn't slide down his leg quite as much. But other than a couple minor little nitpicks, I don't exactly have a problem with the figure outside of the price point. Of course, I would like the peg holes to not be on the lower body, on the back. That's kind of stupid that, you know, $60, give us a swappable abdomen or something. It's on a ball peg. We have hair dryers, just, you know, hook it up, man. Maybe the modern variant will have a variant torso without those, and you can swap that out, because I'm sure we're going to get a modern Spawn in this line at some point. I think it's inevitable, but, you know, time will tell, I guess. We'll see how good this line does, because when was the last time we had a Shadowhawk figure? Almost 20 years ago, right? But, yeah, I like this figure. I think he's cool. I'm happy to have it, but it's probably not worth 60. If you can get it for 50 and you really want to Spawn, then, well, I'd say go for it, kid. That said, compared to the Kickstarter Spawn, well, I think most people are going to prefer this one, because it's got articulation and whatnot. That said, my Kickstarter Spawn's in storage, but I do have some other Spawns we'll be comparing him to. So, with that being said, I think it is now time that we move on. Take a look at some size comparisons. First up, here is our quote-unquote Elite Edition Spawn, alongside the only other Spawns I could find that have come out somewhat recently that are more traditional looking, like our Elite Edition Spawn here. First of which is the standard, you know, regular plain Jane looking Call of Duty Spawn, which good luck trying to track him down nowadays. I'm pretty sure he is sold out for the most part. But a figure that's still pretty good, maybe not as good, but still pretty good, and quite possibly not as sold out, is the 11 Shadow of Spawn. And while he does have the big boot and the gauntlet, he does have more traditional looking Spawn elements to him, more so than the Batman v Spawn 2-pack from DC Multiverse. And not for nothing, I wanted to get Spawn figures that were of a reasonable price point and were just the Spawn figure, not like Spawn with a throne or Spawn with a Batman, or I don't know, Spawn with a flaming hell chopper, which I would buy that. Where is that? I would buy that. Come on, man. I know he's had one at some point, even though that'd be a straight Ghost Rider rip, but I digress. Of the three, though, I think if you want a more traditional looking Spawn, I would just pony up the cash for the Elite Edition. He's the most classic looking Spawn we have, and right now he is probably the easiest to obtain, despite the fact he's probably sold out online in a lot of places. My Walmarts have had him, and if my Walmart's had him, then your Walmart's probably got him too. So, getting these two out of the way. so we can make way for our 2 regulars. And yes, I'm going to double dip with you-know-who in just a second. But first and foremost, we have the Mythic Legion's Brother Mandibilith. And, of course, the infamous, not Shadow of Spawn, but 11 Spawn, who's not towering over everyone today. Because as I mentioned in the Burn Spawn video yesterday, why would good old Al Simmons tower over himself? That's just stupid. So, yeah, him and our new Spawn are about the same height. But a lot of you out there, at least who are regulars on the channel, might be wondering, maybe you're not, but I'm going to tell you anyways, will this new Elite Edition Spawn dethrone the infamous 11 Spawn? Probably not, because 11 Spawn is more fun to say than Elite Edition Spawn. And quite frankly, he's been a staple of the channel for so long, it would seem sacrilegious to ditch him now. So with that being said, I think it is now time that we wrap things up with some final thoughts. Overall, and at the end of the day, is good old Elite Edition Spawn from the Image Comics Founders line, brought to us by the fine folks over at McFarlane Toys, worth the $60 price tag? No, as a matter of fact, I don't think it's worth 50 bucks. If you ask me, I think this should have cost anywhere between $35 to $45. $40 if we're going to be specific. Because this guy, while it is probably the best classic Spawn we've ever gotten from McFarlane Toys, it's not perfect enough to warrant the $60 price tag. And not for nothing, I would say that this guy is arguably more controversial than the Kickstarter Spawn, because at least that had presence, more collector-grade packaging, more accessories, a freaking comic book, and, you know, real metal chains around the collar as well as the waist. And while I know a lot of people weren't crazy about the way that figure turned out, there wasn't anything inherently wrong with it. This guy, on the other hand, the cape, while it is manageable, it's not hunkered down. It's not fastened to anything. It's just kind of floating. And by that I mean the wires within the cape. The cape itself is glued down, but the wires are not. And because of that, posing the cape is a bit of a chore. Also, it doesn't come with a lot of weapons. It only has the 2x4 with the nail in it and 1 necroplasm effect. Personally, I think he should have come with 2 necroplasm effects and another weapon, maybe a gun or something, which leads me to my next complaint: he does not have 2 grip hands. Why does Spawn, of all people, not have 2 grip hands? I don't know. It is what it is, unfortunately. And hopefully, when we see a modern variant, it will come with more accessories that will be accessible to this version. But because of the way that one is designed, I'm not so sure about that. Only time will tell, I guess. I will tell you at the end of the day, I am very happy with this figure. I like this figure a lot, and I would say it is one of the better Spawn figures out there, but it's not perfect. And I feel like McFarlane Toys could give us the perfect Spawn, but it feels like they're pulling a Hasbro like they did with Spider-Man, and they just keep making them slightly less mediocre, and eventually we'll get to the best one, but probably got about 50 more to go. I don't know. So, with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this review. Until next time, I'll catch you guys later.